everyone. My name's Diana, and this is my channel, More Than Just Survive. So today, in the last few days, I've been really struggling with the aftermath of the trauma that I've been going through, that we went through a year ago. And the funny thing about trauma is when you have previous trauma in your life, and then you have another traumatic event, it's re-traumatizing the previous events. So if you have childhood trauma, then and you experience a trauma later on in adulthood, or if you have other trauma. So for example, I'm going to reveal something about myself and my past. I was married to someone else before I was married to my current husband, and it started out as a good marriage, but it went downhill quickly. It turned out that my first husband had a drinking problem and a mental illness. And when he would drink too much, he would become violent. And he was very abusive. So I was traumatized as a young adult. I was in my early 20s, 20, 21, 22, by a bad marriage. And I had 2 children in that marriage as well. And so they have early childhood trauma as well from that. And I found that the trauma of losing Naomi has re-stirred up a lot of previous trauma. So I feel like right now, like I'm not dealing with just the trauma of losing my daughter. I also lost a little baby boy in 2002. I had a stillborn little boy, and that has come back, as well as the years that I was married to my first husband. And then some previous trauma from when I was a little child, when I was very young, perhaps 4, 5, 6. I remember that it was before I was 7 because we moved to a different city. So the first city that I lived in as a little child, the first house, there was a babysitter that took care of us when my mother was out. And this babysitter was a teenage girl, and she molested me and my sister. And nobody knew. There were all kinds of triggers, but this was not triggers. That was the wrong word. There were all kinds of warning signs that this was going on. But this was in 1972, 73, 74. And not a lot was known about the psychology of child molestation. And so my parents didn't know that the weird behaviors that my sister and I were exhibiting were because we were being molested by this particular person. And the trauma from that has piled on to my other traumas that I have. And so I feel like I'm being crushed under this weight right now. And I've been trying to use all of my strategies. And to be honest, I have resorted to taking antidepressants because I need some help to get through this this part of my life. So my doctors have prescribed for me to take some antidepressants. And I think the only reason why I can talk about these particular issues is because I'm on antidepressants. And it's not because they make me feel robotic. They don't. Not this time. I still feel my emotions, but I don't feel like I'm being paralyzed by them. Whereas before I started taking the antidepressants, the pain was so crushing that I was paralyzed by it. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to get emotional. This is really hard because I've been having a hard time. Previously in my life, in 2002, I had a little baby boy. His name was Sean Michael, and he was stillborn at 28 weeks. And I didn't deal with that very well at the time. I was put on antidepressants, but those was a different type, and I wound up having like robot emotions. I had no emotions at all. I was numb, completely numb. And I didn't like that, so I stopped taking them. Coincidentally, Naomi and Sean are buried in the same cemetery. Their resting places are not by each other, but they are in the same cemetery. It's about a 5 or 6 minute walk to go from one to the other. So yes, I'm on medication now, and I have not found a therapist here yet, mostly because I've been so busy unpacking our house. All of our household goods have arrived, so we have everything, and it's just piled around the house. I still have to find places for it. You can see there's a pile of stuff here. It's just, everything's out of the boxes, but it's really difficult to, it's really difficult for me to get the motivation to find places for things right at the moment. And that's okay. I'm getting ready to leave for next Thursday, a week from today, for a trip to France with my family. We're gonna go celebrate some religious festival. And so I'm just going to take my time. I'm going to enjoy that trip. I'm going to enjoy being around friends and family. And then I'm going to really tackle this house when I get back. So I'm one of the things I'm going to do for myself, feeling the way I'm feeling, is I'm just not going to put a lot of pressure on me. I'm just not capable of withstanding the pressure. So that's two things I'm doing to help myself through this period. One is I'm taking antidepressants. And two is I'm not putting pressure on myself to accomplish everything on my list right now. In this season, in this moment, I'm just going to do what I can do. And at the end of the day, I got done what I could, and that's enough. That's enough. I can't just work all the time. I have to incorporate rest into my day. I have to incorporate self-care, going outside for walks, go walk in the woods. There's a beautiful forest just over that way. That is easy to get to. It's lovely, nice walking. So I'm going to do my self-care, stay on my medication, don't put pressure on myself. And next week, we're going to go to France. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be a happy, joyous, wonderful time. And when I get back, I think I'll be revitalized and re-energized and ready to tackle all this stuff that's sitting around the house. So I hope that whatever trauma or pain or loss or grief that you're going through right now, you're able to find professional help. Go to your medical professionals and tell them what you're going through, because it really does help. Find a therapist or a counselor, join a grief group, and don't try to go through what you're going through by yourself. Don't try to keep it to yourself and not burden other people around you. The people around you that care about you want you to share with them. Don't suppress your grief or your pain. It's not good for you. So those are some thoughts that I have for you today. I hope that you are able to stay with me on this journey. And I hope that these videos can help someone go through a horrible trauma and loss like I have. Bye.